All right, friends, welcome to the 13-minute news hour on our favorite network, Right Side Broadcasting. We have a special edition. We have an extended interview, part of our Saturday live stream series, where we don't have the 13-minute time limit. We just talk. We bring in a special guest, and we have a great interview. And since I'm on vacation this week, I wanted to share some of those interviews with you, because those on Right Side Broadcasting may have not even seen the Saturday live stream. So we're going to kick off Monday with our special guest from 4th of July weekend, and that is Republican strategist and attorney Amanda Makki. Amanda is a regular on our show. We had a great sit-down interview, talked about a host of issues, and even learned something interesting on what she was doing during the 2000 presidential election cycle. I hope you enjoy it. Take a look. So that brings us now to our special guest. I'm so excited to have her on the show. I'm talking about Amanda Makki. She's a Republican strategist, attorney. She is a frequent contributor to Fox News, to Newsmax, to a host of other media outlets. She's also a frequent guest on the 13-minute news hour. So we're so happy to have her today. Amanda, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Bobby. Happy Independence Day, everyone.
Yeah, happy Independence Day to everybody out there. Amanda, thanks for joining us. So, I mean, where do you want to start even? We've got this tweet from the White House. What did you think when you saw that?
I thought 16 cents based on whose estimate? The cost of everything has gone up. I mean, people, you go grocery shopping and you know that the price of chicken, pork, beef, it's gone up exponentially. 50%, the things that I buy, some have gone up 100%. I like these buffalo chicken bites. They used to be $6.99 at Sam's Club. Now they're $12. So that's a 100% increase. The price of everything has gone up. Unemployment, 9.5 million Americans unemployed. A lot of people sitting at home because in Joe Biden's America, you get paid to sit at home. That's where you get your paycheck, by sitting on your butt watching TV. Because that's not the America most of us grew up in, Bobby. Certainly not you, certainly not me. Our parents worked for a paycheck, and that's the way it is. And that's where we learned that we have to work to earn a living. I started working when I was 9 years old. I delivered newspapers, 9 cents a door. I graduated to work on selling gift wrapping and then babysitting. And eventually I worked in a doctor's office and worked my way up. But I started working when I was 9 because I watched my parents work really hard. Look, we were legal immigrants to this country. We had to work for everything. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but my parents worked hard. I watched them, and that is the example that was shown to me. What's happening in Joe Biden's America is that we passed a $2 trillion stimulus bill back in March, and you have had nothing but inflation, hyperinflation in the housing market, inflation in just about everything that we buy. Again, 16 cents when you're paying 42% more for gas and on the incline with rising gas prices. How is that in any way comforting to the person who's on a fixed income? Look, I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where a lot of people here live on their pension, live on retirement, and that is really hard for them to have to go pay $100 for what used to cost them $50 at Walmart or at their local grocery store.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's funny is that Joe Biden said he wasn't going to raise taxes. It's only on those uber wealthy. Yet everything you just said is basically a tax. If prices are going up through no fault of anyone's own except the actions of the government, that's a tax increase. That is hurting people. And it was awesome what you said about how you grew up, because, you know, I felt the same way. We were proud to be Americans. We worked hard. That's what we were taught. And now you see that, hey, that's out the window. But also this whole idea of loving America, great American melting pot, colorblind society. We see that being attacked with this critical race theory stuff that more and more parents are getting to know, they're getting educated about, and the left's attacking us like we don't know what we're talking about. What do you think about that issue and what needs to be done?
Well, critical race theory, for those who don't know what it is, basically says that we are an inherently racist country. And based on that premise, reparations should be paid. And based on that premise, critical race theory is a form of reparation. It's a form of paying back. Look, I wrote about this in the Washington Times last month. And as a minority woman myself, I talk about how when I was in high school in Montgomery County, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C., my lab partner in AP chemistry, which we both worked so hard to advance to get into an AP chemistry class, he was African American. He ended up playing in the NFL, one of the best athletes in the state of Maryland, and really, nationally when he played in the NFL. But the point is that he was Black, I was, a minority, and what critical race theory says is that we don't want to hurt you because you're brown, you're Black. We don't want to disparately affect you. What we want to do is take away these advanced classes because they hurt you while benefiting white people and by benefiting Asian Americans. I mean, that's how ludicrous this is. And so basically, you're not going to be teaching advanced levels of math, advanced levels of science, advanced technology to students because you say that inherently this affects Blacks and Browns differently than it affects whites and Asians. It benefits one group while hurting another. Is there anything more racist than that? Are you really saying that because of my skin color, I can't perform well in an advanced level science or math class? That's what they're saying. And actually, the American Teachers Union, 3 million members strong, is pushing for this to be included, and they're going to be voting on this to be included in school curriculums throughout the country. Fortunately, you have someone like Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida who has banned it. You have about a third of the states in America that have either banned it or have introduced legislation or have passed legislation which the governor has not signed. A third of the country has already enacted some form of legislation on critical race theory because it is that pervasive and is that much of a threat to our nation's students.
Yeah, it is. It is just terrible what is going on. But the thing is that what the left would say is, how can Ron DeSantis do that when it's not being taught, when it's not doesn't exist, and you don't know what you're talking about? That's the only recourse that the left and the Democrats have now, is that we don't know what we're talking about. It's not being taught. It doesn't exist. But we see what's happening. We see what's going on. And, what they push on people just makes these kids confused. I'm half Hispanic. I don't know if I'm supposed to hate myself or say Viva, La Mexico. I don't even know, because they push these messages of hate. If you're white, you're supposed to be hated. And it's just a message that does not bring people together. It does not unify. It does not make us the United States of America. And I want to move on to the border, because we've seen a lot of stuff. President Trump actually went down there. Kamala Harris made her so-called visit there. But the situation is still out of control, and they keep pushing open borders. And it looks like Captain America is doing the same thing. What did you think about those trips, the contrast of trips between former President Trump and Kamala Harris?
Well, President Trump actually went to the heart of the issue. That is the actual southern border, McAllen, the lower Rio Grande Valley. And that's where the border is actually in influx. And that's where you have the Customs and Border agents working so tirelessly day and night to secure the border. Kamala Harris went to El Paso, which technically, yes, it is a border town, but that's not where the locus of the issue is. And, she went because President Trump was going there. He, in effect, put pressure on her. And I think that was the genius of this all, is that President Trump waited 100 days for her to be in that role, about 6 months into this administration. And none of them went, not the president, not the vice president. They never went. And it didn't happen until Trump said, I'm going to the border and I'm taking my House colleagues with me. And Governor Abbott is inviting me to go. When she then decided she would make her trip, I can assure you that she would never have gone to the border. She would never have gone to El Paso. She would have never gone to the state of Texas because a month before she went where? To Guatemala, 2,000 miles away from the actual southern border. And I will say this. When you talk about caring about women and children, you cannot say that when you're allowing this humanitarian crisis to occur on the border, sexual assaults, victims of sexual crimes to pay back their coyotes for getting to America. This is happening on President Biden and Kamala Harris's watch every day, and they're not doing anything.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely terrible what is going on. They won't do anything. They want us to forget it. The media doesn't push them on it, and yet the stats keep getting worse. I think they just thought like, magically maybe in May it'll be better than April, or April was better than February, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to have people to, because we've gotten to talk, quite a bit from various media hits and things like that. I want to give people some background on how you got involved, because you're actually, if people didn't know, outside the state of Florida, you were a congressional candidate just this last cycle. But how did that political bug get you? How did your upbringing help forge that path for you?
Well, my father was very politically involved, and he's a physician, but he always loved politics. And so he'd have me sit with him as a young child and watch the various conventions and talk to me about politics. And he explained to me why we were Republicans. And I got involved in college Republicans, young Republicans. I was at the convention. I've actually been to every convention since 2000. So I got the political bug early. And when I graduated from college, I had a great job opportunity. I was a finance major. And in 2000, there were a lot of opportunities for students, great economy. But I chose to go in politics, giving up a salary, giving up a wage to live in my parents' home again and work on the Bush-Cheney campaign, which I did. And that eventually led to a job at the Pentagon as a political appointee just weeks after 9/11. As a native Farsi speaker, I worked in the Pentagon, and I pursued my dream of going to law school. I went to law school, and while I was in law school, I worked on Capitol Hill. I was a healthcare attorney. Not only while I was in law school, but I worked after I graduated for various members of Congress advising on Obamacare and the ills of Obamacare. And then from there, I went on to work in a diabetes company and as a partner in a very large law firm. And it was awesome to be one of the youngest partners in a very large global law firm. Very rewarding, but it wasn't quite the feeling that you get of public service. And I gave it up to give up my salary, give up my job, and run for Congress. And it was really a remarkable thing that I did for me personally, because it tests a side of you that you don't really know yourself. You're selling yourself. You're not selling a product. You're not selling the law firm you work for. You're not working behind a member of Congress. You are representing yourself, and you're going out every day trying to get a contribution to get people to support you. And, I raised over $1 million on my own. None of it came from any one source or family money or anything. It was all through my hard work. And that was because I told people about the American dream and the way that I grew up in America, and that's what we need. And now it's become even worse, more radicalized, more socialism. I tell everyone, people sitting at home and collecting a paycheck is nothing more than socialism, and that's where they want to take this country down the road. I was born in Iran, and I immigrated here when I was about 11 months old. My family and I, we escaped. And people always ask about, well, why did you escape? Well, my father was very supportive of the Shah and the administration that was there before. It was a monarchy. Within 15 days, the country went from being a monarchy to being ruled by mullahs, a religious theocracy. And people don't believe that it can happen that fast, but it can. So when people say this country is moving towards socialism, it doesn't take very long. Look at examples in world history, and you'll see that it does happen. And it's a very scary thing. And I am going to be running again. I will be filing this month in July. And I would love everyone's support. But the reason that I'm doing it is because, one, we can take back our country. One party rule is dangerous. And we have one party ruling Washington right now. The Democrats have run wild with their imagination of trying to pack the courts, give DC statehood, and all the ills that we always talk about on your show. But we've got to stop them. And the first thing that we have to do is take back Congress. We're only 5 seats shy. That's the lowest we've kept the Democrats to, the lowest number of seats since World War II. So we can do it, and we're going to do it. And I'm lucky and excited that I can be a part of this and run again.
Man, I'm stoked. This is awesome. It's like we have breaking news right here on the Saturday live stream. That is so awesome, and you have a really great story, and I always appreciate that when people they talk about, they ask me, how do you get involved in politics, and I kind of tell them my step-by-step story, and it's just, you do it one step at a time. You get that knowledge, you get that experience. But if you don't mind, I want to go back to 2000, because our crack research team over here, it's not like we try to embarrass our guests, but they're pretty good at digging up some stuff. So I got to get your I got to get your reaction. First of all, here's a picture. Here's me in 2000. Here's what I was doing. This is with the former RNC chairman, Jim Nicholson. I was out campaigning for Bush Cheney. We were in Seattle on one of these strike force teams. But I hear from our research that you had a little bit of different experience. You were at one of the presidential debates, the Republican primary debate. Turns out Comedy Central and The Daily Show was there. I want to give people a little flavor for what they were doing.
Now, last week's debate in New Hampshire was one of the first times voters had a chance to see how the candidates stacked up against each other. The Daily Show was there, in force with exclusive team coverage that included brand new custom-made jackets.
A political debate, a statement of position, and an exchange of ideas between rival candidates.
But sometimes the debate can deteriorate into raucous name-calling and low blows.
What will happen tonight? Will it be a well-mannered love fest or a roll-in-the-mud, knock-down, drag-out slugfest? One can only hope for low blows galore.
All right, so friends, you see what's going on here. You see that the Daily Show just wanted to go out and talk to people, throw out some outrageous questions. And get reactions. Here's a sample.
Let me ask you, why Forbes, why now?
No, why McCain, why now? Sorry.
If you love Santa Claus, you love George Bush.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
What if you don't love Santa Claus?
All right, so you see what's going on here. Now, friends, take a look at this. So they move on to another group of George W. Bush supporters. Pay careful attention to the question and even the reaction from the blonde-haired girl. But pay attention to the question and who gives the answer. Check this out.
Tonight is George W. Bush's first appearance with the other candidates. Do you expect him to be a master debater?
Yes, I think he's going to do very well.
So
Clearly.
So did you understand?
No idea.
Did you understand what he was saying?
There, what they were actually asking me.
That was amazing. I mean, your friend, she clued in right at the beginning, but so did you understand that he was asking you if George W. Bush was a master debater?
I did not, because it was so cold. And we had been, this is in New Hampshire, we had been standing outside. We weren't as fortunate as the Forbes team that had hand warmers and hot chocolate. We weren't given those niceties. So we were just standing there trying to stay warm. And after a few hours, I think your mind goes numb, or at least mine did. And
right.
That was hence the answer. And I really actually thought he was a local reporter. I didn't watch Comedy Central because, as I was saying, I worked when I was in college and I didn't really have time to watch TV. So I didn't even know who he was.
Oh my gosh. Now, apparently from our research, there was actually more to the video. Can you kind of explain what happened next?
The next was, will he shoot to the top? And I think I said yes.
Nice. Very good. Very politically savvy right there. But that was awesome. See, nothing escapes our team right there. So
nothing escapes. But this is that you got to be able to laugh at yourself. Okay. In politics, it's a hard thing. Every day, someone's going to tell you why you aren't good enough or why you didn't raise this or do this. So you got to laugh at yourself, even when the joke's on you.
Right. Well, with me, it's often on me, and I'll just roll with it. But all right. So now let's get into, because I think this background is just fascinating. So you ran the last time. If there's people out there, that are interested in politics, even, as a candidate level or as a staff level, what was that experience like? What did you learn from it? What did came out, feeling good or maybe feeling bad about it that you'll learn next time, but that you could pass along to people saying, hey, I ran, here's what it's like?
I ran, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who has the ability to really spend 9 to 10 hours a day calling people and asking them for money. People think it's about going out and meeting people, which it is. It absolutely is. But you don't have a voice if you don't raise money. And people forget that. People think running for office is about shaking hands and kissing babies, and it is. However, you need to spend 90% of your time doing something else, which is fundraising, and 10% of your time doing the, going around and talking to people. I think it's a split. I really think you just need to be comfortable enough to where you don't have people on your back saying you need to raise money, you're not raising enough money, but then split the rest of your time really talking to people and getting to know what the issues are. If people see you, if people know that you're present, and if people know that you listen, that'll make a huge difference. Knocking doors is a huge thing. And it's very old school because everyone says, well, you can now, get into people's text messaging and you can email them and you can do all those things. That's all important too. You need money for that. But it is just as important that you put on your sneakers and you go out and you knock on doors. And if you're comfortable doing these things, I really encourage you to do it. It's an amazing experience. It's the form of government that we have, that you can represent people, and it's an awesome form of government. And that's what we need: more young people, more conservatives out there doing the same.
Yeah, it's amazing. And folks, what Amanda said is absolutely right. I helped run a campaign last time around as communications director and campaign manager. And so many people talk about the tech. So many people talk about social media, and it is important. You need to have a presence out there. But is this a face-to-face meet and greets where you might get 30 or 40 people at a time, maybe even less, and going door to door? It is that person-to-person contact. And especially now, people are craving it. They want that. They've been locked down, maybe not here in Texas or in Florida, but people want that interaction. They want to see you, look in your eye as you talk about these issues. That's awesome, Amanda. If people want to help you out or find out more information, where can they go?
Well, my website, amandamakki.com, M-A-K-K-I, and then Amanda Makki for Congress on Facebook, and Amanda Makki on Instagram, and my YouTube channel. We'll be kicking off here in a few weeks, and we would love everyone's support. As I said, you need to have money to have a voice. We're within 5 seats, folks, of taking our country back. This is really important. And one thing that's going to be different about last time I ran than this time is Trump was in office. A lot of people presumed that, Trump would be back in office again, and we all wished that. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for a variety of reasons, which we can do on another show. But
Right.
that not happening caused Biden to take over. The House was flipped. The House stayed Democrat, but the Senate flipped. And it didn't flip by much, but enough for the Democrats to control the Senate, which means every lever of the federal government right now is controlled by Democrats. That's different than last time I ran, where there wasn't someone to say, look, they're doing critical race theory. They're trying to promote socialism, because government was at the hands of a good person, President Trump. Now we have a very different show. And that's why I think it's going to be even better for Republicans this year than Democrats. I think Democrats are going to lose a lot of seats, but this is our opportunity to take back Congress and take back Washington.
Hey, Amanda, real quick, we did have one question from my friend Kyle. He's outrageous, but he's in the chat, and he keyed in on you working at the Pentagon for a while. And in light of the Pentagon just releasing this report on UFOs, he wants to know if you learned anything about the aliens.
When I was there, we didn't talk about the UFOs, but I am just as interested in this report as I think really this has become a bipartisan issue. You have Senator Rubio and Democrats all talking about, we have to know what this phenomenon is about. I don't normally say anything good about 60 Minutes, especially when they go after my governor. But I think this was an interesting report that 60 Minutes worked on, and it's really drawn the fascination of a lot of people. So I'm glad to see that the Department of Defense and our intelligence forces are working on this. People are intrigued.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've been, I worked at NASA for 12 years and aerospace engineer background. So I am completely fascinated with this. I want to know what's going on. There's been so many reports of airline pilots, military pilots, people on the ground in mass numbers seeing things. I'd like to know the real story of what's going on. But Amanda, thanks so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. Have an awesome 4th of July weekend.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
All right, friends, Amanda was a great guest, and it's pretty entertaining and interesting to see what she thought about George W. Bush's debating skills. Pretty interesting the way she phrased that, and as you saw, there was a lot more that didn't make it into print. All right, that's our show for today, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with another extended edition, another interview from our Saturday live stream. But until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-Minute News Hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you.